when I graduated high school, man, my whole life just took off. You know what I mean? Like I completely, my life was nothing to do with anything else but doing drugs, selling drugs, partying, and having sex with girls. So the peak of my drug usage was when I graduated. And I barely graduated. I mean, by the grace of God, I graduated. You know, I cheated my whole way through intermediate school. I cheated my whole way through high school. My whole way through high school. I mean, it could be a test that I could probably figure out on my own. I'd still cheat. When I graduated, you see, I had school that was keeping me some kind of structure. You know, some kind of structure. And I skipped over the fact that, you know, during my high school years, my parents separated multiple times. I had other friends that had died through drug overdose, other friends who got murdered, other friends who committed suicide. The only thing that was really holding me down from, you know, living a complete corrupted life was really school. That's it. And all the good friends that I had growing up through playing sports, and all the good friends that I even had when I was in high school doing dope with. I mean, even though they were still my good friends and I was doing dope with them, when I graduated, my life and my whole drug problem completely took off. And even though I did drugs with these people, I was doing harder drugs, and I got into selling drugs even more, and I wasn't hanging out with none of those friends anymore. So the good community that I had once before, and the good friends that I even had that was still I completely distanced myself from and got into meth. It's once I graduated, my drug addiction, which I was really addicted in high school to like coke and ecstasy, and you know, weed was never really an addiction to me, but I was an alcoholic too. I mean, I drank every day. But once I graduated high school, meth took over my life completely. At the time, you know, I was staying with a cousin, and you know, meth being sold was huge between me and him, and between the best friend I had at the time, and between, you know, his brother and their friends. I mean, now I could get my hand on however meth I wanted to. My cousin got stabbed in the neck and died instantly. And when that happened, that completely messed me up. I mean, you know, I had lost my best friend. I had lost plenty of people. I had plenty of friends now locked up doing a lot of time. And now I have my cousin that I'm staying with that got stabbed, and he's gone. And I stayed up until his funeral. And on the day of his funeral, I had been up for like 6 days. And
no sleep?
No sleep. No sleep, no food. And now I have no money. His funeral came, and I mean, I had been up for all these amount of days, and I can remember it clear as day. You know, I'm holding the casket, and I'm walking to his gravesite, and the faces of the friends that had been murdered, that had OD'd, that were locked up, my cousin's face were just on my mind. So I had an epiphany, and I was thinking, you know what? I don't want to die. I don't want to do drugs anymore. Like, I love my parents. And, you know, like, I'm going to change my life. And I really, in that moment, was like, why have I been up for 6 days? Because I hadn't thought like this in a long time. I mean, years. I hadn't thought like this. People might have said things and did things and tried to help me, but I ain't trying to hear that. And for once, I was thinking clearly about just that. And so I left the funeral, and man, you know, I was in, you know, decent clothes, and I was clean, and I was like, you know what? The day of his funeral, I had a court date set out for like 2 weeks later. At the funeral, I was like, you know what? I know I'm gonna show up to this court date that I hadn't showed up for one. I knew I could get in trouble, because I was on 2 to 20 if you got a violation for the deferred I had felony probation. I'm gonna try, when I leave here, I'm gonna get a job. Man, I'm gonna, you know, try and, you know, figure out what I need to do. So when I go to court, I'm gonna be sober, I'm gonna be good to go. And so I left there, and I went to Home Depot. I walked in, and you know, I'm feeling good. And this is the feeling I hadn't felt in a long time. I was feeling good, positive. And so I walked in, asked for the manager. Manager comes up to me and I'm like, how you doing, sir? I was wondering if y'all are hiring. You know, I'm looking for a job. And the manager looked at me and mind you, I have been up for 6 days. My eyes were sunken in. Right now I weigh 175. At the time, I weighed about 120. I smell like a pound of weed, man. My eyes are bloodshot. I know I look crazy, but I ain't care. I'm feeling good. The manager looks at me and he just stepped back and just kind of, nah, I'm sorry, man, you know, we're not hiring. And he put his hand out like this, like, I read his mind. His mind said, you're crazy. I don't know why you're standing in front of me right now. Leave. As I walked back to my car, the death of my best friend, the death of my cousin, the failure to be the kid my parents raised me to be, and the realization of who am I and what am I doing with my life completely came crashing down on me. And I was feeling the effects of depression. I was feeling the effects of failure. I was feeling the effects of I might go to prison in a couple of weeks because of who I am. The effects of I have no one to call, I got nowhere to go, and I have no money. All these things that I had blocked out with drugs, that I had blocked out with alcohol, I had blocked out with having sex with women, all these things were confronting me. And I drove to my parents' house, and I knew my parents had always, you know, kept my room the same. I had all the newspaper clippings of my best friend, how he got murdered, and I had pictures of us, you know, drinking liquor together in Padre. I had birthday cards he had given me when we were in elementary school. I also had some samurais, some blades about that big. And these blades were, you know, things we stole at the Renaissance Festival when we were like 12. I just remember standing there being completely depressed. It's almost like I blacked out. And the next thing you know it, I heard like a sound. And that sound was a blade, one of those samurais, that blade puncturing my chest.